Okay, thank you very much. Welcome everyone to this today event, the leadership table. And on behalf of the Yala RSC alumni, North Central region, I really want to thank everyone today. Hello. And our guest today, she's already on ground. Hello. Okay, so welcome everyone today to today's leadership table on behalf of Yale RSC alumni North Central region. We are kicking up today, and we have our guest speaker already, and then again, we want to waste some of your time. We want to go straight to the point. Before I go straight, I want to talk about our guest today. It's not another person than Aisha Abdullahi Bubah. I want to give a very brief introduction about her. She's a Yale RSC alumni and the former president of Yale RSC Nigeria Alumni Chapter. She's a psychologist trained in Ghana and India with over 6 years experience working in various mental health sectors, including psychiatric care, drug use rehabilitation, school and community settings. She currently runs a psychological service firm called the Sunshine Series Mind Wellness Limited, focused on improving access to quality mental health care for all. So this is short, like a very short one I would take right now. And I believe as we involve as we begin to chat, you understand, you will get to hear more about her. And secondly, I want to tell you that she's connecting, all the way from India. So I really want to appreciate her for that. So Aisha Bubah, if you're around, please can you just greet the people?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you. So without much wasting time, without much wasting much of your time, we want to go down deep. And then I believe our guest she's ready. And so my first question I really want to ask here is during your administration as the president of Yale RSC alumni, can you tell us about some of your milestone achievements? I would really want to know how you're able to do it. We really want to know how you're able to how you're able to effect those changes that we do hear about. So we want you to to tell us few things about it, and then again so that we can learn from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ezike. It's a pleasure to be here again amongst my people. So I have to say that I really have a bad memory in terms of remembering things. So in terms of saying milestones, I am definitely not going to do justice to it. I think there is, I think the final report on the work that we did is somewhere on our Yali blog. Maybe you could look at it later. But I would say that the 1 year was really hectic for us, and for the most part, we focused a lot on trying to understand the weight of the alumni body in Nigeria, because it was as if all we had was the general WhatsApp group, which had like 200 people. So it was quite a shocker to find out that in Nigeria we had over 2,000 alumni. So for us, it was important to bring everybody together, and we needed a database. So one of the first things that we had to do was to get a database from the headquarters of the alumni members in Nigeria and see how we could reach out to everybody via email, obviously, and at least let's see what our numbers would do for us. So that was one of the important things that we ensured we did. And I think even after that, the administrations that came after continued to update the database to include more and more alumni as they were coming back. A lot of the activities that we did also due to limited funds was to capitalize on virtual activities. So I guess we were all preparing for COVID unknowingly. We did a lot of master classes online where we brought different experts from different fields to talk about different things. So if I can remember clearly, there was among some of the people that we had Olumide, who is a well-known person in terms of climate change in Nigeria. We had Bren from Moments with Bren. She's quite popular on Twitter in terms of sharing opportunities with Nigerians. And there is this other guy, yeah, Tunde something. I've forgotten his name also fully, but he's also in the areas of youth development and all of that. So we did quite a bit of master classes, I think monthly on different areas. In fact, we touched on mental health too. And we did some physical training. I remembered we did something on training teachers on identifying warning signs of drug abuse among students. Then we did a mental health training where we trained lay counselors over a period of 8 weeks in collaboration with PADIP UK, an organization based in the UK, and ILERA, another organization, a Lisi regiment based here in Nigeria. So we trained, I think, up to 20 lay counselors who have been doing a lot of work till date in the mental health sector. So these are amongst the few that I remember.
Oh, thank you very much. I really want to say thank you very much. And then again, I have one question again for you. If you are called upon again to be our to be the next to be the president again, I want to know what will you accept? And then again, what do you think you didn't do right then that you can actually do now that you can do better? I don't know. So please, can you just give me the answer to that?
It would be an honor to be called upon again to serve, and I think I would say yes to it. What could we have done differently? I think for the first time, I feel like we were a bit we held back a little bit in terms of reaching out to as many organizations as possible, capitalizing. Yes, we did capitalize on a lot of partnerships, considering how much limitations we had in terms of funding, and it helped us do a lot. But I think what I would have done differently is put ourselves out there more in terms of securing funding for our organization, in terms of collaborating with more organizations that can actually key into the activities that we're doing. So instead of having to carry the financial burden on ourselves, but working with other people, working with other organizations that find the things that we do interesting, who would key into it. And I think it's actually possible. If you look out there, it's very, very possible. So that's one thing I would have done differently. And with that, I think we would be able to do more things and be able to create more impact.
Well, this question is the one that actually got my attention. I wanted to talk more about it, and then again, it's your profession. You know, I discovered that you're an experienced psychologist. You know, what I want to ask is that what can you say are the major cause of mental problem, and can it be avoided? We want you to throw more light on that since it's your field.
Yeah. So there are various reasons that can cause mental health distress, but I think it's important to break down what mental health means. Mental health is a state of well-being. It's a general state of well-being where an individual is able to cope with normal stresses of life. They are able to form meaningful relationships, they are able to work productively and contribute meaningfully to their society. So basically, that's what mental health talks about. And sometimes, due to life experiences or certain things, that state of well-being gets disturbed. So that's where we now start seeing either a mental illness or a mental mental health difficulty, or a mental health disorder. So what are some of the things that can cause this? There are so many factors that can cause mental health distress. And of course, experiencing a mental health distress or challenge doesn't necessarily mean you have a disorder. It's not like that. It's the same way with physical illness. The fact that you have a headache now due to some reasons doesn't mean you have brain cancer, right? Or a brain tumor. You could just have a headache because the weather was very hot and then you have a headache. You could have a headache because you are about to have malaria, and then you take care of the malaria and the headache goes. So it's the same thing with mental health. Mental health doesn't mean the extremes. If you're stressed out at work, your mental health can get unstable. So stress, you experiencing extreme levels of stress is a challenge to your mental health. You experiencing sadness and you're losing interest in things that you normally enjoy doing, that's your mental health getting affected. It doesn't mean that you have an extreme disorder, but it just means that something is happening to you. And some of the things that can cause that is maybe negative life experiences. Maybe you lose a job, or you're going through a relationship breakup, or you're just unhappy because of something that happened to you. It can be caused by traumatic experiences, traumatic life experiences, like you lose someone, or maybe you're in an accident, or you have some type of physical illness and it's really weighing down on you. Or it could be as a result of genetics. So maybe in your family, you're quite prone to having depression. It's like high blood pressure. You see that some families, they are very prone to having it. So you have to like really be very careful to ensure you don't get it. So some people are like that too with mental health. Maybe they have a certain disorder in their family that they are very prone to. So when things happen to them, they can easily get into that state. Substance use can cause you to have mental health distress. So some substances are linked with mental health distress. And of course, when you are addicted to substances, that's also a mental health disorder. Um, Negative life experiences like work stress, life stresses, so many things like that can cause mental health distress, basically.
Okay, thank you very much. So for our listeners, you have heard her, various courses, and then so that because personally for me, I, you just clear some of my doubts. At least I have gained one or two insight from what you just said now and then again. So, but let's move to the other question. So we learned that you have trained over 50 lay counselors. Those who you trained, were there any special requirement for selecting them? I want to know, was there any special requirement for selecting those counselors that you have trained? Then again.
So for training a lay counselor, it really doesn't require so much of qualifications. Anybody can be trained to be a lay counselor. So basically what a lay counselor does is they offer basic counseling, right? They offer basic counseling and they have an understanding of the warning signs of mental health disorders. So once they identify those warning signs, they can easily make referral to either a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a social worker or a more specialized professional. So they bridge that gap because if you look at the number of psychiatrists that we have in Nigeria, around 200, psychologists could probably even be less. So who is who for who? So what they do is they bridge that gap. They can offer basic counseling. So anybody can be trained to do that because you're going to be taught the skills that you need to be able to do that. A secondary school student can be trained. Some master's degree holder can be trained. An uneducated person, somebody who doesn't have Western educational background can be trained. So basically, it doesn't require any such requirement or some milestones or that you have to achieve. Though interest matters a lot. If you're interested, you can be trained. That's all that matters. So your interest and then your ability to apply. So you have the setting where you're going to apply that type of learning.
Okay, that's great. So, but I want to answer a question because you'll be talking about mental health. The first question was on needs by your profession and the rest. Well, I want to ask one question. Considering the chaotic current state of affair in different parts of the world, most especially Nigeria in concern, how do you think your profession can be of assistance? Like, let's give Nigeria as a, as for instance, you understand. So, what do you think? How can your profession come in, and play and meet that gap? You understand? considering the chaotic current state of affairs in different parts? Because
so the truth is generally
yeah, you can go on.
okay. So generally, in terms of mental health, right? What people need to understand is mental health is not something that somebody who is going through a mental health disorder has. Mental health, everybody has a mental health. It's in each and every one of us for as long as you're human. In fact, even animals, I'm sure they have. For those who study animal development and everything, I'm sure they'll tell you how it applies. So to tell you that every human being has a mental health, it's not something that only some people have and some people don't have. So if we are saying that everybody has mental health, so technically it means that in every way of our life, mental health has to be a factor. So for the same way that physical health is there in everywhere, when you go to offices or when you go to schools, you find a first aid box because we are anticipating that something regarding physical health may come up, that we can intervene quickly before we take the person to a hospital. It's the same, it's supposed to be the same thing for mental health. That's how it should be for Nigeria, for every part of the world. If you look at advanced countries, it's like that for them. There is mental health in schools, there is mental health in workplaces. So in these situations, mostly it comes in the form of counseling. So we have the opportunity for you to go for counseling if you're feeling overwhelmed for any reason. We have activities that improve, enhance your mental well-being. So like, for example, if you're looking at stress management, there are some fun activities that you can do that you can teach kids or even teach adults in their workplaces to do that would enhance their mental well-being. There are policies that if they are put in place and then they ensure that, okay, these things happen in every sector of the society, the mental health of Nigerians will be taken care of. And normally individuals, humans have the natural tendency to overcome problems when they face them, right? But sometimes we struggle and people struggle at different levels. So that's why when we have counselors, for example, somebody that you can talk to, somebody that's not judgmental, somebody that listens to you, they may not be giving you the money, take money, go and solve the problems that you think you're having, but having somebody to talk to that you know is not judging you, is not waiting to hear the mistakes that you make, is willing to listen to whatever you have to say, that thing does magic to people. It's like pumping fuel into them. So there are so many ways that this can impact the well-being of everybody. If you look at statistics, it says that the world loses up to 1 trillion US dollars every year in productivity as a result of common mental health disorders like depression and anxiety. Because once somebody is depressed, they cannot be productive, and it takes them away from contributing to their society meaningfully. So of course, this should be everywhere. It's not a hospital thing. It's not a when it's extreme, then you go to the hospital. It's supposed to be everywhere in every sector. We need to be talking about mental health. We need to normalize going to seek mental health support when you're experiencing distress. We need to normalize ensuring that everybody considers the mental well-being of the next person.
Okay, I want to know, is there any place let me say Nigeria to be precise, that we have maybe mental health specialists that someone can actually walk into and then maybe get to meet one and then get to have one-on-one rapport with. I don't know. Like for instance, if I want, oh yeah, if I want a mental health, I really want the care, mental care, like mental health care or something like that. So where do I go? Is there any place in Nigeria that someone can just go and say, okay, I want to see a psychologist. I really have one or two things to share with the person and the rest. And then is there any place like that in Nigeria that someone can actually do that?
Yes, so Nigeria has like I think 8 federal neuropsychiatric hospitals where they have psychologists and psychiatrists. So 8, I think, in 8 states, so not all 36 states. Then we have private companies like ours who also offer these type of services that you often find them either in Abuja. They are very concentrated in Abuja or Lagos. Just I think just their university has a very strong psychology department, so they end up with some practitioners there also. But aside from that, I don't think I can mention Ibadan. I can mention Oyo State. Yeah, they also have a very strong psychology department in the university there. Other than that, I don't think I can confidently say that in every state. If you're looking, you will find. I know that there are some states that you look and you cannot find. And there are NGOs too that offer this type of support, this type of services, but again, also they are saturated. They are very, very concentrated in some locations. But when you search online, you would find they are very limited, but you would find them. And now, especially with COVID, a lot of things are now moving virtually. So we have telemedicine, telecounseling, where it's done online and all of that. So that has become very popular now. So now I can even say that to some extent, people can access from different places, but otherwise, you would really need to dig. But if you search online, you would find something. And recently, we launched a helpline, a mental health helpline, or the national emergency number, 112, which is in all 36 states, but for the helpline now, we are currently running it in the FCT. So once you call that number 24/7 and you want to speak to a counselor, you can speak to one. We hope to expand to other states, but for now it's there in the FCT. And this is something that ideally should be there in all states, so that whenever you wake up and feel like you need to speak to someone, at least you have access. Then you can speak to them. If you need more support and you need to meet somebody physically, they can guide you towards what to do. But yes, I think now you'd find more information online than maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, thank you very much. But the youth, are the hopes of bright future of every country. And due to depression, a lot of them have resorted to suicide as an alternative. How do you think we can curb this problem? Because the number of suicide, every day, is going up high. So how do we curb this? Considering I know the fact that the youth are the hope of our bright future of every country. Let's say Nigeria as a case study.
So if you look at some of the reasons that young people, the suicide rate amongst young people is very high globally. And if you look at some of the reasons that you would find, you will find academic challenges there, academic difficulties there. You would find cyberbullying there. You find bullying in general as one of the reasons why young people die by suicide. You would find drug use as one of the reasons. Then you find unattended mental health challenges like maybe depression or anxiety unattended, and then it goes to that extreme. Or maybe you find bipolar disorder or other severe disorders like that unattended. So if you look at all these things, none of them screams unpreventable. They could all have been prevented with early intervention. Right. So like I keep saying, we should have mental health conversations and services in all sectors, in schools, in workplaces, in our hospitals, every single place. Now, it will be very hard. So it will be very hard to miss when mental health is something that is present in schools, that service is present in school. It will be hard to miss out warning signs in a student, right? Even if it doesn't take care of it 100% due to maybe some factors or some reasons that are maybe in the family or something, you can't say you miss out on all the kids that are struggling in your school, right? You can't say that you're going to miss out on the students that start using drugs and you can't see the warning signs, because you already have those type of structures that enable you to do that. In fact, we don't even have to get to the point where they've started doing certain things or they've started getting in certain situations, then you are trying to manage it. You can even prevent them before they happen. Because when we have mental health services in the school, for example, it's not just treating when somebody has a problem. No, you build positive skills, you build assertiveness, you build skills that handle bullying. You educate them on what drugs are, the impact of drugs. You build such skills that empowers a young person to be able to make certain decisions for themselves. So in that case, you are curbing the number of young people that would likely end their lives as a result of bullying, or that would likely end their lives as a result of the impact of substance use, or that would likely end their lives as a result of academic challenges. You are cutting down on all of those things. So we need to start looking at mental health not as a problem that we have to solve, but we need to also look at how do we prevent certain types of extremities? How do we build such type of skills that makes it comfortable for anybody who finds themselves suicidal to be able to seek help? or for anybody who knows somebody who is suicidal, they should be able to know that this is what is up about this person. This person needs support. But a lot of times now, somebody dies by suicide, and funny enough, nobody around them noticed anything that they can actually say. And the warning signs are always there. It never just happens. There is always a warning sign there. We just don't know what they are. So you can't even blame people because they don't know. They don't know what to look for. They don't know that when they see this and that and this, then it means something is up. We don't know. So we need more awareness. We need more education. We need to let mental health be a part of each and every part of our society. And that's how you're going to curb suicide rate in young people.
Yeah, thank you very much. Some of this time, there are some times that I remember there was a case around my area. Someone was having a suicide. He was just, was having his suicide thought all the time, and people were just laughing. They didn't take him serious. Like, I think after some days, we heard that he hanged himself and the rest. So, you know, it's a serious issue that we need to, like, be very very uh, uh be very very conversant with, and then you know try to tackle, because it's really really gets, yes, it's very very, because yeah. So going to our next question, we want to ask you, what leadership skill do you consider most valuable, and that every successful leader should possess? Which skill do you think every leader should possess, that you consider that is most valuable for every successful or a leader to possess? I don't want to know. I want you to throw more lights on that.
I think one thing is I'm sure like a lot of people say it, but maybe not so much of emphasis on why that is necessary is being made. The ability to listen to your team members. Because one thing I believe is, as much as you have a certain type of vision and maybe you have the mechanism to get to that vision in place and you understand it, if the rest of the team members don't understand the same thing as you, it's a lost battle already. So you need to be able to listen to your team members. You need to be able to listen. That's where you know if that's where you get to know what type of understanding do they have about the vision you're presenting. What are they seeing about it? Even are they even convinced? If they are not convinced, how sure are you others will be convinced by whatever vision you're trying to push? So it's very important that you listen to your team members, and in listening to them is when you find out a lot of things. That's when you find out strengths of people. That's when you find out their weaknesses. So you're not just shooting in the dark. So I know that once you're a leader and then you have a certain people that are working together with you, everybody has their roles and responsibilities. But if you're able to also listen and understand what the strengths of each and everybody is, and you're able to channel the work towards that, you realize that everybody is just doing a hobby. Nobody is working, everybody is just enjoying a hobby or something that they love to do. And at the end of the day, you end up with maximum output because everybody's just doing what they love to do. So instead of getting fixated on what the roles are, be flexible enough to listen and to make adjustments based on strengths and weaknesses of your team members. So at the end of the day, you just need to know that it's not about you, it's about everybody. So as long as you're able to do that, I feel like it solves a lot of your problems, and you don't have to be the master of everything for things to be successful. Even if you're just the master of one thing, you have a team, and then everybody brings the others.
Oh, thank you. She has actually made us to understand that leadership, as a leader, you must, have the listening skill. Like, you must listen to to those people that you're leading. And then again, that's a very good one for that. That's a very good one. The other question that we want to ask is, you're featured on various media platforms discussing mental health. We would like to have access to some of these lectures. How can we go about it? Like, you know,
So I think there are three platforms you can find them. You can find some on my LinkedIn profile. I have a very bad track record of keeping tabs of all those links, but I have some on there. Then my work profiles on our Instagram page, there is a link tree in the bio. I think there are some also, and then our YouTube channel, you can find some things, I think. So these 3 avenues. And maybe in the chat box, I'll write what they are. For the LinkedIn profile is my full name. And for the work Instagram is and then for YouTube is okay. So I just dropped them in the chat box. Those are the links where you'd find some of them.
Okay, so thank you very much. As many of us that want to know more about Aisha Bubah, she has dropped some of her work, so you can actually follow her up on LinkedIn. Ma, are you on Facebook? I don't know.
My Facebook is a little bit more private. I really don't mostly post work there, but the work page is on Facebook with the same address for the YouTube. The same name for the YouTube is there for the Facebook. Yes.
Okay, so we can get you on LinkedIn. So as many of you that want to you can actually add her up on LinkedIn. She's there, so you can actually, the details are there on the chat box. So let's quickly go to the other question. Talking about drug abuse, we observe that the majority of victims are youths, and these youths are said to be the leaders of tomorrow. As a layman, what role can we play to safeguard our environment from the effect of this anomaly?
So it's
I hope
true
you got
that
the question,
yes, I did. It's true that our youth population is really bothered by drug use in Nigeria, and it's become such a big menace, and it just keeps going high. And it's not even about just boys or men; it's even girls, women who are using substances now. So it's really a big issue. And how do we go about curbing that? Is I keep making emphasis on education and education, because from our work perspective, a lot of times what we see is the very critical stage in development, in human development, that a lot of these issues are more prevalent or they start building is teenage and adolescent years. So even with drug use, teenage and adolescent years are a very crucial stage. A lot of people get into drug use from that stage, and and a lot of times they get in without knowing exactly what the negative impact of drugs would be on their life. So it's usually my friends are doing it, so we just do it, or it's just a one-time thing. And addiction doesn't even start like that. You never know who gets addicted to what. You never know who develops a mental illness as a result of drugs. It's only when it happens that you see it has happened. So that age is a very critical age. And a lot of times they don't understand the consequences of what they are doing. So we need to educate young people from that early age, like very, in fact, from as early as primary school, and then we keep building on into secondary school. They need to understand the consequences. So with that education, I'm not saying nobody will touch drugs again, but anybody who goes near drugs, it will not be a shock to them that, oh, I didn't know this is what they do. It would be a more informed decision. It's not them just finding out. And a lot of times there are people who start using drugs. Of course, peer influence plays a role. There is bullying also. So lots of these things are things that can be handled at a very early age. Now, if we're looking at adults who use drugs, obviously it's a more informed decision because they are adults. They have the legal right to make so many decisions for themselves. So as an adult, if you're using drugs, then it's either because you want to, or maybe some factors in your life are pushing you towards that. And a lot of times you find people that when they are probably stressed or going through a type of mental health struggle, and then they start using drugs as a coping mechanism. And it's working for them, but then the negative impact is building up too. And you can't blame them. For example, somebody who is depressed, for one reason or the other, and then they start using alcohol more and more. And to them, it's helping them forget their problem. So how do you tell that person that you're wrong? They don't know any other way to cope. They have found this one and it's working for them. So even though it has negative consequences, it's working for them. So people need to be able to understand positive coping mechanisms. And how do you get to do this? It's through mental health. If I know that once I'm going through a challenge, I have access to speak to someone who is trained to work with me, who is trained to understand what I'm going through and provide me with alternatives to cope. The next thing I would go to when I start having challenges is not to fall on drugs, because I have so much mechanisms in place to help me cope, to learn how to cope with these challenges. So it's very, very important how we go about all of these things, because people don't just wake up and start using drugs just because they have money to spend. Yes, for some people it's like that, but for a lot of people there is a reason why people get into using drugs. People see drugs as an escape, people see drugs as a coping mechanism, people see drugs as a better reality than the bad. So there are so many social factors that need to be considered in managing, in curbing the menace of drugs in our society, not just by criminalizing drug use, but what makes a person start using drugs, and how do we change our system in our society to be able to cater for so many things that way that an individual doesn't feel like I need to take drugs to escape my reality. Yes.
Okay, that means a lot need to be done to create awareness.
Yes.
Okay, that's to create awareness among the youths, because most of the time, like you said, they are the ones that do abuse this thing. They do it without even knowing that they are abusing it, because most of them like, okay, thank you very much. In case you are joining us, for the participant, we are having a fireside chat with Aisha Abdullahi Bubah. She's a Yale RSC alumni and the former president of Yale RSC alumni Nigeria chapter. She's a psychologist trained in Ghana and India, and we have been the chat for today. And then again, we are giving our special guest a question. So we want you to raise up your hand, then we can actually call you, to give to ask your question. We just want two to three hands, and then we are through for today. So if you want to ask a question, you can actually signify, and then we can actually call you to answer your question. So if you are there, please, I want to see your hands up and the rest. Hello. Okay, I'm seeing one hand up. I'm seeing one hand up. Okay, I'll be calling on Adedayo. I'll be calling on you to answer your question. So please, can you unmute your mic and then answer your question? Our guest is ready to take your question.
Hello, everyone. Good day. My name is Dayo, and I'm calling in from Ibadan. I'm a final year pharmacy student at the University of Ibadan. That the session has been very educational. Lot from the conversation. I'm in the pharmaceutical space. So, and one thing I've noticed is that our community pharmacists do have contact with a lot of people even before they go to the hospital. And consider the number of people that will make contact with, the number of patients that will make contact with. I think our role is very, very important in curbing mental health issues in Nigeria. So I want to know, because these mental health issues are not things that we learn in depth in the school. So I want to know whether there is a resource center, or preferable, maybe a training site that you can recommend for upcoming pharmacists where they can learn more about mental health? Thank you.
Thank you for this. And you mentioned something very important, community pharmacists. We cannot undermine the role that they play in the community in terms of influencing health-seeking behavior. Now, if community pharmacists can be trained in lay counseling skills, they would play a huge role in improving access to mental health services in Nigeria. In fact, the main premise of lay counseling is that not everybody who experiences mental health distress would require specialized care. Some people just need that basic support and they would be fine. So if community pharmacists or community health workers are trained in lay counseling skills, it will definitely go a long way, because then they can be able to offer basic counseling. They can do basic screening for depression and anxiety. And once they see that the person is showing some symptoms, they can now make referrals to the available resources in town or in other places to get more support. So yes, they can be trained. In fact, they should be trained, because they play a huge role in influencing community mindset in terms of health. And any institute that I'm not sure of, but not to be biased, that's what we do. That's what the Sunshine Series does. That's what we do. I think we've trained near 100 lay counselors in Nigeria. The national helpline that we are running we have lay counselors on it that are offering these sessions. Some of the lay counselors that we have trained, they work in different sectors and they are offering these types of sessions. Some are running support group sessions in communities. I know of some that are running support groups, different types of support groups for cancer patients, for drug users, different types of support groups. So yes, this is something that we do. So if it's something that you think we can do for your sector, you can definitely send me a message either on WhatsApp, and then we can talk about it. But I totally agree with you. It's a very huge resource. Like, I can't even tell you how much of a blessing the lay counselors that I work with have been to the work that we have been doing in mental health in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma, for doing Hello. Thank you very much, Ma, for doing justice to that question. And then again, we need someone. If you want to ask your question, your question, please, can you signify by raising up your hand? Let's use. We need to take one more question, one or two questions before we go. Hello. Any question?
I think educate, it's two things. If people don't have questions, it's either I did such a good job and everybody understands, or
yes,
I was so confusing that everybody did not understand, so they don't have questions.
Yes. Okay. Okay, before I go on, I want to call on someone to answer the question. I know definitely he's going to have a question to ask. Okay, I'm going to call on someone to answer the question. Benjamin Aaron, I don't know if you have a question.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Okay. Thank you, moderator for today, Dr. Ejike Abali. Sincerely appreciate you joining us, Madam President. It's been a pleasure. I know very well the works you've been doing, and it has actually gone a long way through so many seminars you've organized. In fact, directing a lot of persons to link up to your social media handles in order to follow up on some of the things you do, especially your meditation. Sincerely, this is not a question, but I would want to know how best someone can handle, a situation where you have a lot of teenagers growing under you. The society today has opened their eyes to a lot of things that, they get, these heartbreaks at early age, and they don't sleep even at night, and you are just in their midst. You are just there. You're just there. Basically, as a grown-up, you would want them to take it easy. But again, their mind are already made up and all that. I don't know. How else do you think someone can actually manage some of those things, especially if it's not just one person? You have 2, 3, 4, and the numbers keep increasing, Madam President.
Thank you, Benjamin. I think the question is not very clear to me. Your network broke when you were describing who you were talking about. Did you say teenagers?
Yeah, I was referring to teenagers. Yes, they have this emotional breakdown at early stage of their life, and you don't just have one or two complaining. You see them around you, and you become so helpless.
There are some things that are just natural. They happen according to the stage of development. So for example, for teenagers, it's quite an emotional phase for teenagers at that particular time. Lots of times you even find you find mood swings, you find indecisiveness, or you find a situation where they don't want to associate with anybody except for maybe their friends or something. It's a normal part of their development. Sometimes it's not really a cause for alarm, except maybe you're seeing extremes where the person is really drawn, or the person is really struggling with their emotional regulation, or the person is probably getting depressed, or it's beginning to hang out to the wrong crowd, or you're suspecting maybe the person is using drugs. Unless you find those extremities, it's okay. It's a normal part of their growth process, and they learn. That's when learning happens for everybody. So shielding them from experiencing overwhelming emotions doesn't make them better persons or doesn't make you a better support. Sometimes we have to go through those experiences so that we learn from them and we know who we are as a person. So it's part of the growth process. Of course, unless you notice it's been extreme to the point that it's affecting their life significantly, then maybe you can intervene. Of course, intervening with being supportive, because teenagers tend to distance themselves from adults at that phase because they feel like we don't understand them. They feel like we don't get what they are going through. They can't also imagine that we've been through it. So it's important to just listen to them. Try as much as possible not to impose what you think they should be feeling or what you think they should be experiencing, because that's when the control now comes in, and then they're like, you're missing the point. You're not understanding me. So try to just be comfortable with the growth process of that teenager. Just keep an eye on them, watch them, they go through their struggles and learn from them. If it's getting too much, then maybe you can intervene with just being supportive, letting them know that you're there for them. And of course, you need to walk the talk. When you say you're there for them, then it means you're there for them, not that 1 minute you're there, the next minute you're shouting or you're angry or you're judging them. So just let them know that you're there for them. Let them see that you'll also be there for them, but to try as much as possible not to want to control how they should grow or how they should develop. And of course, you can also try by teaching them some positive skills like communication skills, assertiveness skills, educating them about social issues and how to manage them. So you're not directly trying to manage the person's behavior or anything, but you're just trying to teach them some positive skills that would help them to cope with the stresses of life. I hope that answers your question, Benjamin.
Yes, it does. And maybe finally, before EGK slap me out, looking at, okay, let me be very blunt instead of going around. How can someone come back from a heartbreak?
Come back from what?
Heartbreak.
Sorry, I missed what you said. How can somebody come back from? Can someone help me with what you said?
Okay.
Yes. How can someone come back from an emotional heartbreak, like a heartbreak, naturally?
Oh, a heartbreak. Give yourself time.
Outstanding.
Give yourself time. Yes, time heals wounds. Give yourself time. Do not be too hard on yourself. If you're taking too long to get over it, it's okay. It's your heartbreak. There is no manual. If somebody got over it in 1 week, you don't have to be that somebody. So if it's taking you a while, it's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just let yourself be a part of the process. Don't judge your process based on how other people went through it. It's your experience and be easy on yourself. You're just human. So if you're getting sad about it, you're only human. It's not outrageous that you're getting upset about an emotional heartbreak. So take it easy on yourself. Know that you're only human. Know that you lost something that meant something to you. So it's natural to get upset about it. And then just let yourself know that time heals wounds and that you get there.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you very much. This question just opened my heart to so many things. And really, thank you very much for doing justice to the question. And then I believe you actually explained it very, very well. So I really want to thank you for that. And then again, we have come to the end of today's leadership table edition. And then on behalf of Yali RSC Alumni North Central region, and the executive headed by Mr. Mayoko Adioti, which is the regional coordinator, and Benjamin Aaron, Damilola Shiu, myself, I'm among the executive, I'm project director, and then and the rest. So I really want to say thank you very much for honoring our invitation to be part of this fireside chat. I believe all of us here must have learned one or two things to take home, and then again to continue. And I believe most of us here, like the pharmacists that asked you question, I believe your reason is there. You can actually network. You can actually after the section can actually go on to get to know one or two things. Get to chat you up and the rest, so that he can continue from there. And to the participants too, anyone that want to you have anything to do about you're into mental health, or you want, like me, I'm doing masters in clinical psychology, and I'm into mental health. I've not said it before. I've not said it, so I just want to say it right now. I know definitely I'm going to chat you up later on, to really get one or two info about that. And then thank you very much. And we are through for today. We're gonna be going back to the breakout rooms, so that we can actually meet. If you have anything, we're going to be sending you to breakout rooms right now, so that you can for opportunity for you to network. There's many participants, so you can meet. You can meet your fellow Yalians and the rest. So as I round up, I'll be sending everyone to the breakout section right now, so that I will continue from there. Then from there, we can call it for the day. So thank you very much. I'll be adding everyone to the breakout.